Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today, we're going to build a full stack AI avatar app with a deployed front end and back end. First, we'll configure a voice agent using Python and LiveKit, giving it a custom voice and avatar. Then we'll build a clean interface for it with Next.js and deploy it to the world with a live Vercel link. We'll also be giving it extra functionality by allowing it to schedule appointments for us. It'll be able to do this through an end-to-end workflow, which we'll set up. When we're done, you'll have a link to your very own AI assistant, and it should look a little something like this.
Hey, I'm James's AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?
Yeah, my name is Jim, and my phone number is 122-344-566.
Thanks, Jim. I have openings tomorrow at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Which one works for you?
We can go ahead and do 3 p.m.
Got it. We'll book you into James's calendar shortly for 3 p.m. tomorrow. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it for me.
Perfect. Have a great day.
All right, so let's go ahead and click end call, and let's check if I go to my calendar. I can just double check that I have that appointment right here in my calendar. All right, so before we dive into the code, let's take a high-level look at how all the pieces of our AI Receptionist actually fit together. So our entire system is made up of three core parts: the front end, which is what the user sees; the back end, which is the brain of our AI; and the automation workflow, which is like the magic glue that connects our app to the real world. It all starts, of course, with the user. So they open our web app in the browser. That web app is our front end, which is a Next.js application that we deployed to Vercel. That gives us a live public URL that anyone can visit. The front end's job is to provide a clean interface where we can talk to our Tavus avatar and handle the connection to our AI. Now, here's where the first key interaction happens. When a user connects, the Next.js app establishes a real-time two-way communication channel with our backend, which is the backend LiveKit Python agent running on LiveKit Cloud. This connection is what allows for our seamless, low latency conversation with our AI. So our backend agent is like the star of the show, right? So it's a Python script that listens to our user's speech, figures out what to say back, and then it does two crucial things. It sends the text response to ElevenLabs, which generates that incredibly realistic and high quality voice, and it syncs that audio with the Tavus avatar, creating the lifelike experience of talking to a person. So the user talks to the front end talks to the back end, and the back end orchestrates the AI conversation. So that covers the voice agent part. Now for the coolest part, which is how does it actually schedule an appointment? This is where our third component comes in, the automation workflow, which we're going to build using N8N. Inside our Next.js front end, we have a simple but powerful trigger. The moment the user clicks on disconnect or the session ends, our app fires off a post request to our N8N webhook URL. This request is like sending a message that says, hey, the conversation is over, it's time to do something. That webhook is listening 24/7. So when it receives something, it kicks off our N8N workflow. So the flow is it receives the data from our front end, it then connects to the Google Calendar API, and then creates that new appointment for us. And that's the complete loop. So the user has a natural conversation with a realistic AI avatar, and the moment they hang up, the system automatically performs a real-world action by booking a meeting in Calendar. It's a seamless integration of real-time communication and powerful backend automation. So with that architecture in mind, let's jump into the code and build this thing. So the first thing that we're going to do is set up the Next.js front end. So we have that nice user interface where we can speak to our LiveKit voice agent, which we'll set up in Python. So go to Google and search JS LiveKit, and it'll usually be this first link right here. So we have Next.js Quick Start right here, and they actually give us a GitHub repository. So let's go ahead and open that. Click, we get to the GitHub link, and this is the full agent starter repository. So if we scroll down a little bit, it's just agent starter. So this is what we're going to have with Next.js. When we pop up localhost 3000, we'll basically have this interface that we can speak with our agent. So in order to get this on our computer, let's just copy this link right here for the GitHub repository, and then open up your IDE of choice. I'm going to be using Cursor. All right, now that we're in Cursor here, I'm just going to open up a new project and click on new folder. I'm going to call this LiveKit Vercel agent, and I'll click create. When I open that, now let's pull up the terminal. On Mac, you can do that by clicking Control /, and I'm going to type in git clone and paste in that link that we copied from GitHub, and click enter. All right, as you can see, we successfully cloned the repository. And when I open up this repo right here, we have everything we need for the front end, like the apps directory, the hooks directory. It all looks pretty familiar from typical React and JavaScript websites. But let's go back to the GitHub repository to figure out how to actually spin this thing up. All right, so let's scroll down a bit. And if we go past the project structure, we already cloned it, so we don't have to worry about that. But the two commands you have to run are pnpm install to install our necessary packages and pnpm dev. So let's go back to Cursor. I'm going to type in pnpm install. Oh, I have to switch into the directory first. So I'm going to cd into agent Started React, then run npm install. And it is currently installing the packages. We could just wait for that to be done. Finish in about 4 seconds. All right, so now we just have to run npm dev, and this should show up in our localhost 3000. Let's click on this link right here and head over to our front end. All right, now we're at localhost 3000 and we have our front end pulled up. Now we have some errors because we didn't put our LiveKit API keys yet, but we can go ahead and fix that right now. But the main thing is we have the front end up and running in Next.js. So when we connect our credentials, we'll be able to click start call and then our agent will show up. But in order to do that, we need to have a working voice agent. So let's set up our voice agent first. We're going to test it in the console and then come back to this front end once our agent is working. All right, so head over to livekit.io and then click on start building. And you're going to want to create a project. For that, you just go to this bottom left-hand corner and click on create new project. I've already done that, as you can see. So once you've created your project, head over to settings and API keys. And I'm going to click on create key. I'll call this key Vercel agent and click generate key. And I'm going to copy these environment variables and I'll show you where to put them in your IDE. So head back to your code. All right, so back in our code, you see we get this error. We can just clear that up real quick. What we want to do is we want to make our .env.local file. They give us this .env.example. So we can just copy this over into that new local file. In order to do that, you can just run a pretty simple command in the terminal. That command is cp.env.example. And we're going to move that into a new file called .env.local. And if we check the root directory right under this example file, we just created this .env.local file. And with what we just copied, let's paste in our keys. We'll copy these and paste these in. All right, now I'm going to save this file. And just to prove that we can connect, I'm going to run the front end one more time, npm dev, and let's go back to localhost 3000. All right, so back in localhost 3000, those errors should go away. You can see we don't have any errors right now, but we do want to be able to talk to our agent when we click on start call. So when we do that right here, no agent is showing up, but we can change that. So let's implement that right now. All right, and to set up the LiveKit voice agent, just look up LiveKit voice AI quick start. And click on this first link right here that says voice AI quick start. And we can just go through these docs to understand how we can get an agent working on our computer. The first thing we want to do is install the LiveKit CLI and then run this LK cloud auth command. So let's go take care of those two things right now. So before we run that, let's actually make a new folder or directory for our backend agent. This agent starter React will technically be our front end. Now let's go out to the root directory and let's make a new one called LiveKit voice agent. And we want to make sure that we are cd'd into that directory from our terminal. So let's go back up to the root directory and cd into that voice directory that we just made. Now we can run brew install LiveKit CLI. I already have it installed, so this ran pretty quickly. And we actually don't have to run LK Cloud auth because we already have our LiveKit API keys here. So scroll down past the AI models. This over here just talks a little bit about the whole pipeline itself. So we're going to say something, which gets converted to text. An LLM generates a response, and then that response gets spoken back to us. You can read a little bit more here if you want to, but I'm just going to scroll past it for now. And we have to run these following commands to create a new project ready to use for our voice agent. So let's copy this command right here and head back to our code. All right, let's clear this out and let's just paste in this command. Now we see instead of this LK voice agent, we are in our LiveKit voice agent folder and we have this pyproject.toml. This is just going to keep track of our dependencies. I'll show you what to do next. All right, so next, let's scroll down a little bit and we have to run this command. This is going to install our packages to complete the voice AI agent with our pipeline. So copy this and head back to your code. All right, once again in this directory, let's run that command. Now we have all these dependencies installed in our pyproject.toml file right here. Let's go back to the docs. And it says run the following command to load your LiveKit cloud API keys into a .env.local file. But honestly, since we already have our API keys in our front end directory, we can just make this file ourselves and copy over our keys. So I'll show you how to do that right now. All right, so inside of this directory, we can just create our .env.local file, and you can see it shows up right here. And we can just go back to our .env.local from our front end, copy over these keys right here, and go back to the one we just created and paste them in. Now let's save that file. Back to the docs. All right, now if we scroll down, we have the actual agent code right here. Now this actually builds our agent for us. So let's copy this and we'll paste it into a new file. So the name of the file we're going to create is called agent.py. So let's create that right here. Now we see it showed up in our backend directory and we're going to paste in all that code that we just copied. So let's save that. And let's actually take a look at this file and see what it's doing. At the top, it's just importing some necessary plugins that we need, and it's loading our API keys from this .env.local file that we created. We initialize the assistant class and we give it some instructions, and then we have this basic entry port function where we set up the pipeline and load that into our session. We start the session, and then we make sure that it greets us when we join the room. And we kick it all off by running the worker, which is this basic run app function. All right, cool. So now all that's left to do is just run this. We do have to run one more command to download our model file. So let's copy that and then run that in our terminal. So I'm just going to clear that and then paste that in our code. We finished downloading the files. Now it's time to run our agent. So the command to do so is actually run agent.py console. Now, when I click enter, we should be able to summon the voice agent to our console and it'll be able to speak with us.
Hello, how can I help you today?
Hey, can you just tell me a fun fact about San Francisco?
Sure. Did you know that San Francisco is home to the crookedest street in the world? Lombard Street has 8 sharp hairpin turns in just one block designed to reduce the hill's steepness for cars. It's quite a twisty ride.
Nice. And can you just tell me a fun fact about New York?
Absolutely. Did you know that New York City was the first capital of the United States after the Constitution was ratified? It served as the capital from 1789 to 1790 before Washington, D.C. took over. Pretty historic start for the Big Apple.
I see. Thank you. All right, cool. So we see we can summon our voice agent to the terminal. We can even see its answers in text form in the terminal. Let's go ahead and make some additions. So we actually control different components of the pipeline. So for instance, for text-to-speech, we're using Cartesia's Sonic 2 model for the default. For this tutorial, I want to use ElevenLabs. Go ahead and set that up right now. All right, so we're going to set up the ElevenLabs voice. So for that, we can just go to the search bar and search up ElevenLabs plugin guide. All right, now we can just use this guide to quickly go through it. Now let's scroll down. We do have to run this command, pip install the LiveKit agents plugin, but we're actually going to use UV add. So just copy this last half right here, copy that, and then head back to your code. Now back in your code, pull the terminal again, and we can clear this all out and just paste in that command. But remember, at the front of this, we do have to run UV add and click enter. Now those files should be in our pyproject.toml. Let's just go ahead and check, and we see them right here. All right, so let's go back to the docs and see what the next step is. All right, so let's scroll a little bit down. We need our ElevenLabs API key. So they gave us this link to make that. So let's go ahead and create that right now. So we can just go ahead and click on this link. After you make an account, you can just come here and click on create key. Now they'll make you a name. I'm just going to call this LK Vercel. And we don't have to restrict it for now. So let's just go ahead and click create key. Now we're going to copy this and make sure you have this copied because we're not going to be able to see it again, and head back to your code. So back in our code, in this .env.local file, they wanted us to add 11 underscore API underscore key, and we can go ahead and paste in our key like so. All right, so let's go back to the docs. All right, and let's see how we use it right here. We do have to add it to the plugins, and then we just have to change the text-to-speech component in our pipeline. So I'll show you how to do that right now. So we can see here, we're already importing a few things from LiveKit plugins, so we can just add ElevenLabs to this list, like so. And then we do have to change the text-to-speech component, which, like I said, is Cartesia. So this line is what we're going to be changing. And so it says after we import the plugin, we just need to change this text-to-speech component. So we can literally just copy this how they have it. We'll copy this right here and head back to the code. So we can find this text-to-speech component around line 25, and we can literally just take this one from Cartesia and paste in what LiveKit gave us. Now let's format that a little bit better by pressing tab, backspace this a little bit. Okay, now what this will do is it'll use the ElevenLabs plugin, and the LiveKit docs are just using a default voice ID and importing an ElevenLabs model. And one more slight thing I recommend doing is just changing this multilingual model, because I found that the Flash model works a little bit better. So just go ahead and save that. So now let's just test the agent and see that it'll use the ElevenLabs voice. Once again, the command to do so is run agent.py console. So I'm going to click enter.
Hello there.
Excuse me?
No worries. How can I help you today?
I was just wondering, can you tell me a fun fact about San Francisco?
Sure thing. San Francisco is home to the famous crookedest street in the world called Lombard Street. It has 8 sharp hairpin turns and is a popular spot for tourists and photographers alike. Cool, right?
Yeah, thank you. All right, cool. So we see that ElevenLabs is working, but I'm not sure I want to stick with that voice. So I'll show you how to go ahead and change the voice right now. All right, so back where we got our API key, if you just click on voices in the left-hand side, it pulls up a list of all of these default voices. So let's say I want to use one here like Charlie, Australian accent. Here, I could click play.
Love all, trust a few, do wrong to
In
none.
order to use that voice, I just have to copy the voice ID. So do that by clicking on the three dots on the right-hand side and just click copy voice ID. Now back in the code, and right where we have voice ID, we can just go ahead and paste this in. Okay, so let's save that. And now let's test this one more time by running the same command. So I'm gonna click enter.
Hello, how can I assist you today?
Yeah, hey, how's it going?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you? What can I do for you today?
Cool. So we see that it's using that Charlie accent that we picked out from ElevenLabs. So that's just an example of how you can change the text-to-speech component in your pipeline. So I just wanted to use ElevenLabs because I find it really quality. You can easily choose a voice that you find fit from their voice library. Okay, now this has all been leading up to the next step. So we've been speaking to our agent in our console, but we want to be able to speak to it in our Next.js frontend that we have running in localhost 3000. So in order to do that, we need to run the same command, except for instead of using the word console, you just want to write in dev. And you want to make sure that you're using the same API keys in your .env.local for both your front end and your back end directories. So if I pull up both here, they are the same exact thing. So I'm going to close both of these out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this command and I'm going to click enter. And now we just need to head over to our localhost 3000 and make sure that is running. So for me, I'm going to open up a new tab, make sure we are in the front end, which is that agent starter React, and then run the pnpm dev command. And that was ready pretty fast. And I'm going to go to localhost 3000. I'm going to click on start call. Let me see.
Hello there. Ready to help you out with whatever you need. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, I was just wondering, can you tell me a quick fact about San Diego, California?
Sure thing. San Diego is known for having one of the best climates in the United States with mild, sunny weather most of the year. Perfect for a beach day anytime.
And we also can text this agent. So I'm going to keep this mic muted and click the chat icon button. And we see a transcript of our chat. So I'm just going to ask it another question. And I'll ask, can you tell me a fun fact about San Francisco? And it'll actually speak a response.
Absolutely. San Francisco is famous for the Golden Gate Bridge. But did you know it can appear to disappear in the fog? The city's famous fog is so thick it's even got its own nickname, Carl.
All right. So we see that our agent is showing up in localhost 3000 with our ElevenLabs voice that we chose. We saw how we could see the transcript if we go to the chat icon. Our whole transcript is being stored locally. So the next step I want to add is putting an actual face to our avatar agent. This means adding an AI avatar to our already working voice agent. I'm going to do that right now. So go back to the ElevenLabs documents guide, and you can actually scroll a bit down on the left-hand side here and click on virtual avatars, and then click on plugin and all the way down here to the bottom. And for today's tutorial, we're going to be using Tavus. So let's just walk through these documents really quickly. First, we need to install the plugin. So again, we are using UV. So just copy this second half right here and head over to your code. And back in the code, make sure you're in the backend directory. So we have the front end running here, but just click on the LiveKit voice agent one. And we can just stop the agent for now and clear this out. So let's do UV add and paste in that command right there and let that install. So let's close the front end and let's actually check that this is added to our pyproject.toml file. We can see we have Tavus right there. So let's close that out. Let's head back to the docs to see what the next step is. All right, and we need our Tavus API key to store in our environment file. So let's just click this link and I'll show you how to get that right now. And in case that link doesn't work, go to platform.tavus.io. And then come over to the left-hand side right here and scroll down a little bit to where it says API keys and click on that button. And we can just click on create API key. So I'll call mine LK Vercel. And all you have to do is click create API key. Now, once again, you do need to copy this because you won't be able to see it again. So copy that and head back to your code. Now, making sure you're in the backend environment file. All right, Tavus underscore API underscore key, and just paste in what we had just copied. Okay, so save that and head back to the docs. The next thing you need is a replica and a persona to start an avatar session. The replica is basically what you see, and the persona is more specific configuration details for our agent. The simplest way to do this is through a curl command that they already give us. So this is how we're going to be able to create a persona because we need to set the pipeline mode to echo. That's what they specify in the docs here. So all we're going to do is we're going to use the same exact command, but we need to put in our own API key. Luckily, we just put that in our environment file, so we can just paste that over. So copy this command and head back to your terminal. Okay, now let's paste in that command. And like I said, we do have to put our API key in right here. Copy what we just pasted. And then I'm going to carefully go up to this line and delete where they have the API key inserted and paste in what I just copied from Tavus, like so. And this should create our persona for us. So I'm going to run this. And cool, we see that it verified here. We have a persona ID, the persona name we set, which is my persona, and the date that I created it at. Cool. So we're going to leave that in the terminal because it says copy your replica ID and persona ID for the following steps. For the actual usage, like always, we have to import the plugin, and we actually have to define an instance of the avatar session. So with the Tavus we just imported, we call the avatar session method, and we paste in our replica ID and persona ID. Now we have the persona ID, and I'll show you how to get the replica ID. But for now, just copy these two commands where we initialize the avatar and then start the avatar session. So I'm going to copy these and head back to my code. Okay, so in our agent.py file, the docs recommend to set up and start your avatar session right under where we initialize the agent session. So I'm going to do that right here on around line 33. I'm going to paste these in. And now what we have to do is just grab our persona ID from our terminal. This value right here that we got after running this curl command, I'm going to paste that in right about here. And for the replica, this is the actual avatar that you can choose. So I'm going to head over to Tavus right now. So let's get out of the API key and let's go to your replica library. And we can just use a stock replica for this. I'm just going to use this first one, Carter, right here. So in order to do that, I'm going to copy the replica ID. Now, once again, all this is going to do is just put a face to our existing agent. So it's going to have that same ElevenLabs voice that we configured, just a face lip syncing to what is being said in real time. So I'm going to copy this ID and head back to the code. Okay, and I'm going to delete this right here and paste in the replica. All right, cool. So now we have everything we need. So let's go ahead and actually test our avatar in the front end. And don't forget to add Tavus to your list of plugins. So what should happen is we click start call and we speak with our voice agent normally, but there'll be an avatar that we can interface with. So the command to do this is just that same one that we've been running previously, which is uv run agent.py death. Just to make sure your front end is running, and I'm going to run this backend. Oh, looks like we got an error. What is this, line 33? Oh, it does look like we are indenting a little bit too much. So I'm going to select what I pasted in and click tab. That should fix the error. Okay. So let's run this again. And it looks like it's running just fine. Okay, so let's head over to the front end.
Hello, how can I assist you today?
Yeah, can you just tell me a fun fact about machine learning?
Sure. Did you know that machine learning algorithms can sometimes learn to cheat? For example, in one experiment, a model learned to identify pictures based on tiny watermarks in the images rather than the actual content. It's like
Cool, so we see that our agent is up and running. Let's customize its script a little bit. Just for an example use case, I'm going to make this an appointment setter. So what we're going to do is it's going to say, hey, I'm James's AI personal scheduler, and it's going to give us a couple of times, and we'll tell it a time, 12 or 3, and it'll say, okay, well, we'll book you in the system. And we'll set up this actual integration later. When we hang up the call, it'll send a post request to our end-to-end workflow. But for now, let's just edit the script. So let's cancel this out really quickly while we edit the script. So right now we have, you are a helpful voice AI assistant. This is just the default instructions from LiveKit. So instead what I'm going to do is change it to this. So really quickly, we're just saying you are James AI appointment scheduler, and we give it the exact conversation flow. So we ask them the name and phone number, their contact info. And then we're just saying by default, hey, I have openings tomorrow at 12 and 3 p.m. Which one works for you? And then we're just going to say, we'll book you in shortly. So the cool thing about LiveKit is that our whole transcript is saved in local storage. So what we're going to do is just send our transcript to our end-to-end workflow. Now, I've done this in a previous video for those of you that know what I'm talking about, but if not, no worries. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. But just to make this a little bit better, we know AI agents don't necessarily have default access to what date it is. So we can say, hey, what day is it? And it could say something completely wrong. So we can just pass it the actual date. In order to do that, you need to go to the imports and write from datetime import datetime in time delta, and then scroll down. And then right under this line where we have the initialization, just paste this in. So what this is going to do is the datetime.now gets today's current date and stores it in this today's variable. And then we just get the date tomorrow by adding 1 to whatever this day is. And then this tomorrow.string for time method just formats the date a little bit better to provide to our agent. And then we can actually feed this to our agent by passing it in after we mentioned tomorrow, just by pasting it in like so. tomorrow_date. Also, one thing you want to make sure is that you include an F right before these quotation marks so that we can correctly interpolate tomorrow's date. And then I accidentally have one too many parentheses here, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. All right, so we can save that and let's test it in the terminal. We don't need to test this in the interface because we just want to make sure that what the agent says lines up with the instructions that we gave it. So I'm going to run the command uv run agent.py console.
Hey, I'm James's AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?
Yeah, my name is Tim Jim and my phone number is 123-456-7899.
Thanks, Tim. I have openings tomorrow, Thursday, October 9th, 2025. 12 p.m. and 3 o'clock p.m. Which one works for you?
Let's go ahead and do 3 p.m.
Got it. We'll book you into James's calendar shortly for 3 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it. Thank you.
Perfect. Have a great day.
So we see that it was following the exact conversation flow that we gave it. Tomorrow's date, which is October 9th, and gave us 2 choices. Said it'll book us into the calendar. So I'm going to go ahead and add one more thing just because I saw it tweak a little bit. You can always make these edits as you go. So I'm just going to say, when pronouncing the times, just say the number and PM. For instance, so cursor already knew what I was going to say. So, all right, so the next step is deploying our agent. This is really helpful because now when we click start call in our front end, we don't have to rely on our agent running locally to be able to access it. After we deploy it, it'll just be in the cloud and we can access it whenever we want, as long as we have the API keys to connect to it. All we'll be running locally for now is the front end, and our agent will be stored in the cloud. This is really easy to do, and LiveKit also makes it free. So the command you need to deploy our agent is honestly just one, and that is the LK agent create command. So if I click enter, yes, we can use this project and give it our environment file, and we just wait for it to deploy. This should take about a minute or so. Awesome. We see our agent has been deployed. We can just click no for the logs for now. So I'm just going to click no and enter, but we have our agent right now. Just to verify it, we can run the command LK agent list, and it's going to look for our agent. We just created it here, and this is the time right now that we have just created it at. All right, so it's time to test that our agent is actually working. So we want to make sure that the front end is running. So I'm going to clear this and run, pnpm dev. Now the true test to see that our agent is actually running in the cloud is by going to our localhost 3000, clicking start call, and seeing if our AI avatar agent shows up and actually speaks with us while we are not running the backend, meaning that is coming from the cloud. So let's head over to our front end at localhost 3000. So I'm going to go ahead and click on start call, and our agent should show up with the avatar without running our backend straight from the LiveKit cloud. Let's wait for agent to show up. Looks like it did. Let's just wait here.
Hey, I'm James's AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?
Yeah, my name is Jim Tim, and my phone number is 123-456-7890.
Thanks, Jim. I have openings tomorrow, Friday, October 10th, 25, at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Which one works for you?
Can we go with the 12 p.m.?
Got it. We'll book you into James's calendar for 12 p.m. shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with?
I'm okay for now, but thanks.
Perfect. Have a great day.
Great, so we see our full agent is showing up with the voice settings, the avatar, and the actual instructions coming all from the LiveKit Cloud agent that we just deployed. So we just completed a huge step of this project by deploying the backend. The next step is actually deploying the front end, and for that, we're actually going to be using Vercel, and I'll show you how to do that step by step. Okay, so the first step in deploying our existing Next.js app is actually creating a new GitHub repository. So head over to github.com/new, and this will take you right to the page that helps you create a repository. So you can call this anything you want. I'll just call this LK-Vercel. And we don't need to change any of the other settings. We can just go ahead and scroll down and click on create repository. All right, once you create your new repository, just copy these 3 bottom commands where it says push an existing repository from the command line and head back to your code. Okay, so before we paste in what we just copied, we have to run one command, and that is git remote remove origin. Because if you can remember, we cloned from an original repository, which was that LiveKit starter. But now that we made our own repository, we want to be able to connect to that one. So now go ahead and paste in what we just copied. And if we press enter, we see that we have pushed everything 100% to GitHub. So let's go back to GitHub just to double check. So let's go ahead and refresh, and we see we have everything pushed to GitHub. All right, so the next step in deploying the front end is heading over to Vercel.com. And if you don't have an account, don't worry, it is free. So what we're going to do is create a new project. So go to this button on the right where it says add new, and I'm going to click on project. And the way this works is you don't upload code to Vercel, you upload code to GitHub, and then you just link the repository through Vercel. So for instance, the repository that I just created is lk-vercel. So I'm going to import that repository here for this new project. Okay, so let's make some edits as well. I can already tell that we are using Next.js. We don't have to add the root directory since we are technically already in it, but we do have to edit the build and output settings. So it's not npm run build or next build. We are using pnpm. So we're just going to put pnpm build for our project. And then the install command, if you can remember, which we ran in the beginning, is pnpm install. Now we do have to add our environment variables, and we can go back to the code to check which front-end variables we've had specifically. All right, so in the front-end agent starter, and we can click on the e.env.local, and we see we only have our LiveKit API keys. So we do need to paste these in. So I'm going to start with this first one, LiveKit_URL, and just paste them in one by one, and I'll show you how. So the first one is LiveKit_URL, and I'm going to paste in that value. The next one is LiveKit_API_key, and I'm going to paste in that value as well. And the last one is LiveKit_API_secret. And I'm going to paste that in. Okay, so we did everything we needed to do. Just make sure, and we can click deploy. Now, there might be some issues with deployment. It'll usually take around 2 to 3 minutes. But for now, let's just wait and see what the logs say. You can see them by scrolling down here. We see the build logs. And if you click the drop down, it'll show you exactly what's going on in real time. All right, cool. We see our project is deployed. So we can just click on that. And we see we have our front end not on localhost, but on this deployed link that Vercel just gave us. So now that our front end is fully deployed, as well as our backend, when we click start call, we should be able to speak with our avatar agent. Let's test that right now. Start call, and we'll wait for our agent to connect.
Hey, I'm James's AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?
Yeah, hey, my name is Tim, and my phone number is 1234.
Thanks, Tim. I have openings tomorrow. Friday, October 10th, 2012, 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Which one works for you?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do 3 p.m.
Got it. We'll book you into James's calendar for 3 p.m. shortly. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it. Thanks, man.
Perfect. Have a great day.
This is great. So at this point, we have deployed our Next.js front end as well as our agent in the back end, which is stored in LiveKit Cloud. So we have this fully deployed link, and you can test it by even going to incognito and pasting it in as well. But when we click start call, it's calling our backend agent in the cloud. So our application is now fully deployed, and we're not relying on localhost. And mind you, we did it with LiveKit and Vercel for completely free. Now, this next part of the tutorial, I just wanted to add a little bit of functionality. So when we end the call, we're actually scheduling an appointment, and I'll be able to see that on my calendar. The way that I'm going to do that is when we hit disconnect on the call, it's going to send a post request with our conversation transcript to an end-to-end webhook. And then once our transcript is sent to our workflow, which I've already made, it'll schedule an appointment in our Google Calendar, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. So first, I want to show you how this workflow works. So I'm going to click on it right here. So this is the first node, which is a webhook, and I set it up as a post webhook. What that means is we're going to be sending information to this webhook. What is that information? That is going to be the transcript of our conversation. Then once we have that transcript of our conversation, we are going to take the conversation and clean it up a little bit by storing it in this transcript variable. Then we're just going to use a simple code node to clean that up. The only thing we want from the transcript are the messages, because there's going to be a lot of things that we don't want, like timestamps, when we really only need the messages between ourselves and the AI assistant. Next, we have this AI agent node, and what that's going to be doing is it's going to be looking at our transcript and scheduling a Google Calendar appointment. So what I said is schedule an appointment based on the conversation summary. Do it in my Google Calendar. Make the title of the appointment with whatever the user's name is. Then we need to hand it over the transcript from JSON.messages. And we hooked up this tool node right here, which basically connects our Google Calendar account. And I selected my email. The start and end of the meeting is defined by the model as well as the summary. You need the summary so that it can title the event in your calendar. Okay, so for an example, let's head over to last execution. So I'm going to open up this node. And as you can see, I set a post request, and we got a lot of this data. A lot of it is stuff we don't need. So it starts off with headers. And then if we scroll all the way down, And we keep scrolling, we see the first message. So it's our ID, a timestamp of the message, and the actual message. Yeah, my name is James Brad, and my phone number is blah, blah, blah. And then if we scroll a little bit further, we can see what the assistant's response was. And the agent said, "Thanks, James Brad. I have openings tomorrow. Which one works for you?" And that's basically how this works. I just want to show you that there's a lot of data that we don't need. That is why we have these two nodes right here. So what edit fields is doing is just storing this in a transcript variable so that this code node is going to do most of the work. So we give it this transcript, right? Now it's all in one variable, and we are making a basic map of the messages and storing it in this messages variable. So you can take a look at the output right here. If I zoom it a bit out, this messages is our whole conversation, much more clean than all the data that we don't need. So I say, hey, and then the agent says, "I'm James, AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?" And then we give it our phone number, and it basically schedules the meeting for us. But that conversation is much easier to read for the AI. So that is what we are feeding into our AI agent node. If we take a look right here, I'm going to open this up, and we see on the left, we're coming from the code node. So we have all of our different messages. I believe I am even and the assistant is odd. So I say, hey, the assistant says, hey, I'm a scheduler. And then I say, yeah, my name is James Brad. And we just keep going. And what I say to the agent is, like I said, to schedule an appointment based on the conversation summary, do it in my Google Calendar. And we feed it over this JSON.messages. This is important, the way you format it, because it feeds to the agent our transcript. So the agent is seeing our actual conversation. And you have to hook up a code node. For this, I'm just using OpenAI GPT 4.1 mini. And then this tool actually created an event in our calendar. We can see the response right here. If I zoom this out a little bit to the left, we see it was on my email. This is the title of the appointment with James Brad. And we have the start and end time. So it looks like it is tomorrow, October 9th, starting at 12 p.m. PST and ending at 1 p.m. PST. So that is how the workflow works. And to get this workflow into end-to-end, you can just take my JSON file that I included in my GitHub link. What you can do is click download right here, and you can download this file and head over to end-to-end and click on the three dots and click on import from file. And there you can just import from the file I just downloaded. And this exact workflow will pop up in your own end-to-end. All right. So in order to send our conversation with our AI agent to our end-to-end webhook, we need to make this change in the front end. And so we're going to do that in our session view file. Our session view file is basically the file that constructs the front end when we are speaking to the agent. So head over to components, and it's going to be this session view file right here. And what we're going to do is scroll down to the agent control bar at around line 166, and we're going to add an event handler. Now, if you've used React or JavaScript before, you've likely heard of an event handler. An event handler is something that handles the execution of an event. So if I were to click a button and I want that button to link to an external URL, I would put an event handler there. Or if I were to fill out a form and I want to know if the client has filled out a certain box, I would put an event handler to know that there's text in the box. This is the same concept we're going to use, but we're going to use the on disconnect event handler, because when we disconnect from the call, that's when we know the conversation is over and it's ready to send to end-to-end. So you can see we have other event handlers already set up, like this on chat open change, like when we click the chat icon and we want to see the chat with the agent, and on send message, we have this handle send message event handler. Now we're going to do this a little bit differently. So what you want to paste in is right here, and you can get all this code directly from my GitHub. This is about 10 lines of code, but what we are doing here is basically checking, is this message variable, which we declined up above, and I can show you guys up here. So we have our messages. Our messages are going to be stored using this use chat and transcription method. LiveKit sets all this up so our transcript is updated in real time. So let's go back to what we were doing. All right, so we check, is messages.length greater than 0? And this on disconnect event handler is only going to be checked when we have disconnected from a call. So if we have enough messages and we had a conversation, then what we want to do is we want to send a post request to our end-to-end webhook URL. The method is post, like we declare. Yeah, we have to include the header as JSON because that's what we're going to be sending. And then for the actual body, we are going to store it in this transcript variable and send over messages. And if we have any error, we can log that in the console and see what is going on. So that's the basic way this works. When we disconnect from a call, we're just going to check, does our message variable contain our transcript? If it does, then send a post request to our end-to-end webhook URL. So as you can see here, we do need to have this URL in our environment file. So let's go ahead and add that. Make sure you save this file and then open your environment file in your front end right here. And we need to add next public end-to-end webhook URL. And I'll show you how to get that right now. So head back over to end-to-end and click on this first node right here. And if I click open, we can see that our URL is going to be right here. And if we hover over it, we can just click it to copy it. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in here. Now it's time to actually test this. All we have to do is run our front end locally, because remember, we haven't deployed this, but our backend voice agent is fully deployed. So let's just go ahead and run pnpm dev. And what should happen now is when we connect to a call and click on disconnect, we'll check that our conversation was actually sent to ElevenLabs. So let's head over to our browser. Okay, so make sure you click on execute workflow. So that way, when we actually make a post to this webhook, this workflow will enact. And then head over to your local host 3000 and let's click on start call. And what should happen is we speak with our agent, we disconnect, and our conversation will be sent over to ElevenLabs. So let's test that right now. All right, now let's wait for our agent to show up.
Hey, I'm James's AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?
Yeah, my name is Jim Brown, and my phone number is 123-456-7899.
Thanks, Jim. I have openings tomorrow, Friday, October 10th, 2020, p.m. and 3 p.m. Which one works for you?
Let's go ahead and do 3 p.m.
Got it. We'll book you into James's calendar shortly for 3 p.m. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Have a great day.
All right, now if we click on end call, our workflow should be enacted. So let's head back over to N8N. We see that our agent is actually working. We hit the webhook successfully, and we have created an event in our Google Calendar. And in my calendar, we see we have this new appointment with Jim, October 10th from 3 to 4 p.m. Okay, so now what we have to do is push our session view file to GitHub. And what this is going to do is trigger a redeployment in Vercel. In order to do that, what we need to run is git add components / session -view.tsx. And we need to run git commit -m. And we can just write adding N8N functionality. Okay. And I already committed it, but for you, it might say nothing. For me, it says this. And then just run git push origin main. And amazing, we just pushed this session view to our main branch in Vercel. But we have to do one more thing, and that is actually giving Vercel our environmental variable, which is our N8N webhook URL. So I'll show you how to do that really quickly. Let's head over to Vercel. All right, so head over to your project and then head over to settings. And on the left-hand side, click on environment variables. Now we have these 3 LiveKit ones that we set when we initially deployed, but we need to add our N8N webhook URL. So for that, we want to put in the key N8N webhook URL. And for this value, we were using the test value when we were testing it, but instead we want the production URL. So instead of test URL being selected, make sure you have production URL. Click on this link and it'll copy it and paste that into this value. Now we want to save this, and this is going to ask for us to redeploy. So once you have that saved, click on redeploy. And we just want to redeploy to production, and we can view the logs in a second. So click on view deployment and make sure that this is good. And this might take 2 or 3 minutes. Looks like we got an error. Let's see what it was. And I guess we do have to run a prettier check in our code. So let's go ahead and fix that. All right, so let's take a look at what went wrong. Okay, we have on disconnect, and we can auto fix the formatting by running this command, which will make sure our code aligns with the prettier check. All right, so to double check that the error is fixed, we can just paste in this command right here. And we should see, okay, we see everything has been fixed. All matched files use prettier code style. All right, so let's push this file. So git add components / session view.tsx, git commit -m fixing prettier error. And then we can just do git push origin main. And if this goes through, it should trigger the redeployment. Okay, so it went through. Let's go back to Vercel. It should be redeploying right now. All right, if we take a look at deployments, we have one building right now, so we can just click on that and take a look at the logs to see that everything is going well. Now, let's just wait to see what happens. It should pass the checks since we checked in our code, but let's just wait to see what happens. All right, so we see our deployment is all done. So that basically means our app is ready. So let's go ahead and test that. When we use our deployed Vercel link and we click start call, we have a conversation with our AI assistant, and our conversation will be sent over as a transcript to our N8N webhook URL. I have the workflow right here, so we'll monitor that after we end the call. Let's go ahead and start the call.
Hey, I'm James's AI scheduler. What's your name and phone number?
Yeah, my name is Jim, and my phone number is 122-344-566.
Thanks, Jim. I have openings tomorrow at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Which one works for you?
We can go ahead and do 3 p.m.
Got it. We'll book you into James's calendar shortly for 3 p.m. tomorrow. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's it for me.
Perfect. Have a great day.
All right, so let's go ahead and click end call, and let's check on our edit and workflow. Click on executions. And we see that we have one running currently, so we know that we hit the webhook. Our workflow has succeeded, so good news. Let's go ahead and check on the AI agent. So let's open this. See the messages. So I just told it my name is Jim, and I gave him my phone number, and we agreed on tomorrow for 3 p.m. AI agent gave us an output. It scheduled the appointment with Jim for 3 p.m. tomorrow in my Google Calendar. And we can check that by pulling up the Google Calendar node, and we see that we got that output here as well. Appointment with time at 15 or 3 p.m. Now, if I go to my calendar, I can just double check that I have that appointment right here in my calendar. That is it, guys. We have finally tested and finished out our app. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to smash the like button and comment if you need any help, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.